Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Oh my god. Good, mate. Apart from I fucking did it 1 hour early. Fucked it. I've got about half an hour on me, if that's okay. With you. So when it comes to marketing, I've done advisor on a few different projects. I don't really want to just because of like NDA, but one thing I can say is I've recently hooked up like Legacy with like a huge partnership, but I can't tell anyone because of like Justin wants to surprise everyone. But it's very bullish on marketing for terms of Legacy in general. It's just I don't want to like give inside information and then Justin gets pissed to me, you know. Justin can, but Justin can verify that like I'm legit because it's like he wouldn't like Justin asks me for a few favors. Oh yeah, I can mention Daryl. I could talk to like Daryl. Like Daryl, he's like quite big. He's like over like seven figures. In terms of like the restaurant industry and stuff like that. He's new to crypto. To be on, well, not super new, but only 2 years. But I still class that as new because I've been around for about five. But he's very good in terms of like making things start from scratch and actually developing things like from nothing, like the ideas and the development side of the operation, which is hard to find in people like people who can actually make nuts like zero to something. You know what I mean? Yeah, like he owns like I think five restaurants which are like five-star restaurants, like legit like Michigan star chefs. So in terms of developing things and stuff, he's really top notch. And he's also really good friends with Justin. He's met with Justin 3 or 4 times and everything, and that's where Justin's like basically helped like fund the whole project and everything like that. And the rest is just like Daryl's like development team and everything like that because he's friends with people who've developed other projects and stuff. So, in terms of development, that's that. I know that we've got like the Daryl was telling me we've got our gambling license sorted now, which is interesting. I can touch on that if we need to go over what the project will do long term. Okay, so if you guys are familiar with the Project Deer Race, are you familiar with that project or no? Deer Race, like the basically the biggest cryptocurrency like racing horse game. It's got like Alex Becker as advisor and stuff. You know that project or no? Or should I can explain it deeper if you don't? Okay, so yeah, imagine like Lazy Monsters is like basically like Squid Game, but you bet on which basically monster would win the race. But in our case, it would be like the big statue shooting them and trying to kill them, and then there's going to be random like RNG factors in. So like some monsters might push another monster over. One monster might fall randomly generated. The reason why we're not having it played so people can play is because it becomes a more skilled based game, which the problem with that is if you look at games like Axie Infinity, Thetan Arena, when you add skill game based games, the economy eventually crumbles. Every single big economy that's done that, it doesn't work because you get players who are just naturally too good, who will bash the game and will ruin the economy. So if you look at games where it's more like gambling based, it doesn't tend to happen because obviously it's through the RNG generator and everything. So you just bet on which monster to win, and then obviously if that monster would win, you'd get X amount of the winnings, and if you had a lazy monster specifically season one, you would get a higher percentage of that winnings, like a percentage cut, if that makes any sense. So for now, like that's the main thing. There's no point trying to do like 100 things, rather do one thing and then move on, right? Well, we've when it comes to that, because obviously the legacy network, at the end of the day, like when the network is live, hopefully when it goes live, we all pray at one stage. Um, it's like not many people are going to use the legacy network. So the reason why we came across this more gambling route is because we're going to have like a fiat on ramp, which we'll be using through PayPal, because eventually the game will be able to use on your not iPhone originally, but Samsungs and stuff, if that makes sense. So imagine you want to like use like you just download the app on your Samsung phone or something like that, and then you just pay with basically your card instead of knowing anything about crypto, which then would in turn bring more volume to basically legacy, right? Because not everyone is going to want to add legacy to their MetaMask, and you can't even do that yet. And then we're also going to have an exchange listing as well, just to help get volume on the network in total. Yeah, well everyone's docs, so Daryl's got a gambling license. Yeah, Justin wouldn't let us gamble if we didn't get the license, you know. I'm not really part of the developing thing, but what I do know, like that's why I wanted to play and like clarify is like when the racing, obviously, if you have a monster, say someone puts like $1,000 on your monster to win, if your monster did win, you would get a 10% cut of those profits. That person would win against all the other monsters. That's going to be basically every monster is going to be given stats. So, like, obviously, for example, the hench monsters, they're going to move slower, but they're going to be harder to push over, for example. So, say someone tried to like push it over in the random RNG like mechanism that does it, they would probably end up falling over themselves rather than falling over like the hench monster. But the hench monster also like moves slower as well. So, like, every monster, like, will have advantages and disadvantages. I'm not behind the coding of that though, so I don't want to specifically mention those type of things, to be honest with you. But that's just an example. Oh, so originally, I said to Daryl, like, look, we've done 1,000 monsters. Daryl was saying once we launch, we should do more. My thing is like, I don't want to add any more monsters, to be honest with you, until the token is basically launched and we've got at least two sex listings. And then all the other monsters, you'd basically buy them with the lazy token, and then the lazy token, those lazy tokens would be burned forever. It should be around 10. We don't want to have it too much because then obviously server problems, but we can scale once that gets sorted. I don't, with me, I rather like get small things done really well rather than try and just do these crazy huge goals. Yeah, right. Say like, yeah, basically like a random 10. Or if you wanted to yourself, you could rate like decide I want to race with that monster. But I did want to do it more like of a random 10 each time. Like kind of how Zebrun does it on Twitch. It'd be like live stream there, like just a random 10. That way it's fair for the first 1,000 users, right? Because if we the problem is imagine if we launched a 10,000 like monsters, it's like all the original season one people will be like pissed, right? And like at the end of the day, they're probably pissed already. Like I'm gonna be honest about that, but we did genuinely think Legacy was launching 2 months after like our launch. You know what I mean? We didn't expect it to be 5, 6 months down the line. So you'll get some free tokens airdrop to you if you're a season one holder. Yeah, it's like we weren't originally gonna do it, but then when we found out that like basically like Legacy what's it called like network hasn't launched, I wanted to give something to reward like some people. I'm not sure how many tokens it's going to be, but I feel like it's better than giving nothing in my opinion. So the funds were there, but a majority was basically like some of it for development. I'll be honest with you, majority of the project is being funded by Justin and basically the legacy, like network. The minting wasn't really like it's not like it's probably covering like 10%, to be real with you. Well, the 1,000 monsters will only cover around 10% because you got to realize you've got to get a fiat on ramp, which is their expenses. You have to pay them monthly. Then exchange listings, like the ones we've looked at, are like 200K, and we need exchange listings because not everyone's going to use the legacy network, right? So we need people to be able to buy the token. So yeah, if you want to do like the thing is, if you want to do things properly, it's like you kind of just have to spend majority of the money. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, where we'll probably like I'll just be honest, right? Like, how's the team going to make money is probably the next follow up question. Correct? Is like there is probably going to be a small fee of every race that the team just basically gets for the treasury. I agree, but some of the things on the core website do require more minting, and I don't think it's fair on the holders now to start minting more NFTs until the game's out, and then those like people can actually get like some profit on those monsters just by like having them race on the actual game eventually. Because if we make like, well, if we mint like 9,000 more, it'd be 4,000 more monsters. It's like the first 1,000 people, it's going to take them 5 times longer to get their like profit margins, right? Yeah, when it comes to the communication, it's like that's why I'm doing the AMA. Like originally everyone was like, "Oh, we want Daryl to do it," and I was like trying to, so I was like, "I'll do it." Like I don't mind communicating, doing an AMA like every 2 weeks. Like it doesn't really bother me. That's fine with me. In terms of the communication thing, but it's just when it comes to like the AMAs as well, it's like sometimes there isn't a lot of updates because it's like we can only like be like I'd rather be transparent rather than just bullshit, right? It's like we are genuinely waiting for Legacy to launch. It's like WGov as well. They're waiting. So it's like it's one of them as well where we don't want to even show more content because showing more content is like marketing fuel, which then would get the token more hyped up. If you kind of know what I mean from that perspective. So if we show more, then it's like it gives us less ammo for when the token goes live, and which means it won't perform as well. But I don't mind doing the AMAs like every 2 weeks. Like honestly, like when I found out I missed it, I was like, oh fuck, like I'm in the car. Like, but I don't mind doing them. Like on a real, like I even said to you in the chat, I do like if anyone wants to talk or ask a question, like I'm down to like answer. You know what I mean? It's just like when we made Legacy, like the monsters and everything, it was meant to be we like launch the 2 months after Legacy was planned to go live, and then our token was going to go basically go live like two to like two and like probably say 8, 10 weeks after the original mint date was going to. Like WGO was meant to go, then we were going to go, and then obviously with the delay, kind of it looks bad on it. Like obviously it's bad, but it's like we can't really do much about it. Like ideally, like if we could go back, it's like we'll be minting now, and then Legacy would be going live in like a month. You know what I mean? And it would be better. Yeah, I don't mind doing AMAs. It's all good. On at the end of the day, the guy runs like I think he runs 10 different businesses. The guy's very very busy. You know, but I've told him like I'd rather be transparent. Like I have told him like, come on, bro, like come do an AMA or something. But he's kind of got the thing of it's like everyone just asks in the chat like when are we launching, and he's like we've told them all like 20,000 times like Legacy's not launched. So I understand where he's coming from, but I know he is working on the project. Like it's quite funny. Everyone memes on him for traveling and stuff, but it's like he's traveling to do like networking and like especially for the gambling license. It was from his and from what he told me, he said it was very very tricky to get that sorted. But I don't know that much about that. Where what's it called? Originally, it was three different game studios we were going to work with, and then the one we did end up choosing with, they got attacked with the Russia-Ukraine thing, so we had to just swap from them to another game studio, which sucked. And now they're working on it. They've done like I wouldn't say they've done like anything AAA, but what we were looking for specifically was someone who's made a successful game that's something similar to what we've done. So the gaming studio, they haven't done too much like AAA stuff, but they've made very successful, very similar games to like on the iPhone. Because I can't imagine people wanting to gamble on their computer. I think they'd rather just like because most people, if you don't know, like most people do horse racing on like betting on their phone. So our thing was like we want a really good like phone application where people can bet, and they did do one horse betting platform that generated 10 million revenue last year. So they're not the best in the world, but like they can do like a good job, is the way to put it. Yeah, go for it, bro. We can talk a little bit at the end. So I'll get back to the original. We kind of touched over it, but we'll go over it a bit. So originally, when the game was going to go live, we were going to have 5,000 monsters. Now that's been cut to 1,000 monsters. So people will basically be generating like their money back 5 times more faster. They'll also be getting tokens as well, which we weren't planning to do as well. In terms of giving people the money back, like I have no control over that. It's like up to Daryl if like that's what he wants to do and stuff. But you know, it's crypto at the end of the day, and it's like most projects like they wouldn't even be working. And like if Legacy was launched, our token would be live like 1,000,000%. You know what I mean? It's not like we're trying to fucking finesse anyone. It's like we're just here being honest. Like we need Legacy to launch. What are we gonna do? Like, yeah, it's like I can be honest with you. It's like because Legacy's got good connections to the XDC. Like we will be getting listed. I believe. Like I'm 99.99% sure, but don't take everything like quoted from me. Is like we should be getting listed on the XDC exchange when we launch. Oh well, their monsters will be generating revenue for them passively anyway. They don't have to do any gambling. The monsters would just be making them money. So like imagine like yeah, so like obviously when the races happen, it'd be like I don't know the exact numbers, but let's say there's 100 races a day, there's 10 monsters, your monster would be used in one race. You know what I mean? And then say if someone like obviously I don't know how much people would bet each round, but say there's a betting round of $10,000 and then your monster would win, you'd get 10% of that winning bonus. So like, it's not too bad. And also the other thing you've got to remember is crypto users are more expensive to basically onboard rather than gambling users. So specifically because we're having the fiat on ramp system, we don't even need to like go through the problems of like Facebook ads and Google ads because people will just be using like PayPal or their card to play. They won't even realize they're using the token. As most crypto, basically games in general, and most crypto things, they can't do Facebook ads because they don't have the fiat on ramp capability. It's the exchange that they own. I don't know the exact one. I can Google it quickly. Yeah, I'd just rather be honest. You know what I mean? But yeah, it'd be the exchange that what's good XDC own, and we will probably be getting other exchange listings as well. But we're waiting as well on one of the other main issues. I don't know if this is public info or not. I know it's being recorded. So Justin, don't fucking kill me, you cunt. Is some of the exchanges are waiting to add the legacy network onto them, so then that can be like we can list the tokens there as well. No, there's going to be no copies because we're waiting on WGov to launch. So right now, like I believe there's no NFTs that you can basically like sell like on the marketplaces until WGov goes live. I don't believe there will be any because obviously then that actually kind of devalues them. And when it comes to the betting on the side of things, it doesn't. The token will be on Legacy, and all the fiat on ramps will also be coming onto the Legacy network. So the NFTs, what chain they're on, don't really matter too much, to be specific. Well, Legacy is under the layer one, so it's like say the actual like imagine the actual racing game itself would be kind of like a base layer game. It has no crypto capabilities technically. It would just have like normal like gambling capabilities, and then it just gets used to buy the legacy token back off the market. So say if someone bets 10, like just to keep it simple, someone bets like $100, like with like 100 like normal dollars in fiat, that would get converted into our token as a buy-in. So like technically, let's say if like people like let's just say we get $100,000 a month of people gambling on the platform. Technically, that's $100,000 of buy volume on the token. It's nothing to do with fiat. Nah, it's all good, dude. I'm so honestly, I feel so bad with the AMA. I was like, I swear, like everyone was hyped up for this AMA, and there's like one person here. Like, what's going on? Yeah, how's your project going anyway, mate? Because I know you're doing one, correct? Yeah, Justin's a great guy. Well, I don't know if he'll tell you the hookup I gave with him recently. I don't want to say it publicly, but it's like the one thing I'll say is it's like Solana and like a lot of the biggest cryptocurrencies, specifically layer one, spend millions of dollars there a month. But I happen to know one of the owners there, and then him and Justin met up in person recently. But yeah, it should be really good. Yeah, he's a great guy. He loves silly things. He's great. Yeah, go for it, mate. Yeah, so obviously there'll be more things implemented into the game, but like having a space club doesn't make profit for the token or anything. So the main thing is just getting to the gambling thing good. Because let's just say hypothetically we can get like 100,000 users, like but like just 100,000 people betting on the platform a year. Like even if they all bet like $100, it's like our token's going to be worth $10 million just through buybacks. Like just through the people not even buying the token, just from people betting on the platform, which is like over 100x on the token. Yeah, so it's like I want to get that sorted really well, and then from there we can add all the nichey things, you know? Yeah, 100%. Well, everything in the ecosystem will eventually just have it'll either be like the legacy token or like like that's the thing with the partnerships because our things like technically like gambling. Partnerships for us are easy because it's like, say if you have a token, right? It's just like, okay, we'll now accept your token to be used in our like betting platform. Technically, it's easy for us to get partnerships. It's always harder for us to think of ways for us to benefit. You know what I mean? It's almost like kind of like a shopping.io. Like anyone can technically just allow their token to be like added to it, but then it's hard for them to think of a way for them to benefit. They just put it in the chat like I'm open about it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm gonna try and get Daryl to come do an AMA though. Like, I'm trying. No, they got to the stage where like, fuck it, Brandon's good enough. We'll take him. Yeah, it's all good, mate. It's better to be honest. You know what I mean? I don't want to just come across as this guy as like bullshitting everyone. It's just better to be honest about it. Yeah, it's good, man. Well, look, we got from zero MMAs to AMAs to two in one day. You know, big thing. Does anyone else got any other questions? Yeah, I guess that's it then. All right. Peace, everyone. Much love.